Our goal is a decent environment in its broadest and deepest sense. And winning the environmental war is a whole lot tougher challenge by far than any other challenge ever to confront mankind. The battle to restore a proper relationship between man and his environment, between man and other living creatures, will require a long, sustained political, moral, ethical, and financial commitment far beyond any commitment ever made by any society in the history of man. Are we able? Yes. Are we willing? That's the unanswered question.
We want the cleanest air. We want crystal clean water.
I would say that is comical if his policies weren't so dangerous. I've often said that his policies, both around air pollution and water pollution, should actually come with a label, almost like cigarettes, that says that this policy is dangerous for your health.
Our atmosphere now contains concentrations of carbon dioxide that have not been equaled for millions of years.
We can protect the environment and grow the economy. Working with Doge and Elon Musk, we've now canceled $22 billion worth of grants, and we have launched what is the largest deregulatory action in the history of the country.
On Wednesday night, President Donald Trump issued an executive order directing various energy and environmental regulatory agencies to phase out a broad range of environmental protections. Agencies such as the Environmental Protection Agency, the Department of Energy, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, the Bureau of Safety and Environmental Enforcement, and the Fish and Wildlife Service have been instructed to amend their regulations so that they expire by October 2026. This order affects regulations under laws concerning energy appliance standards, mining and offshore drilling, as well as those under the Endangered Species Act.
2024 was the hottest year on record, capping a decade where almost every year broke the previous year's record high. Carbon emissions, which help drive that warming, are also at record levels. President Trump and his administration argue that this is not a problem and that trying to address it only hurts the economy and puts the U.S. at a competitive disadvantage. On his first day in office, President Trump withdrew the U.S. from the Paris Climate Accord. He's tried to freeze billions in funding for clean energy projects, wants to boost coal production, and declared a, quote, national energy emergency to increase domestic fossil fuels. While Trump's actions face legal challenges, environmentalists are sounding the alarm.
Less than 24 hours after President Trump issued an executive order to increase mining across the country.
This is where Twin Metals wants to develop its mine.
Ingrid Lyons is fearing the worst.
This is an attack on all public lands in America. They belong in public hands. And fundamentally, this executive order is taking them out of public hands. They are giving them to corporate interests.
The president's order seeks to up mining of uranium, gold, and copper, cutting back regulations and paving a fast track to have new projects identified in a month's time, effectively undoing a 20-year protection in the boundary waters signed during the Biden administration. Lyons says her Save the Boundary Waters organization is already planning to fight any projects in court.
This area has been studied so deeply around its potential for copper mining, and the results are always unequivocal. They're always, this is just the wrong ecosystem, the wrong landscape for this type of mining.
Every single one of these reports that we have had has mentioned global climate change as a significant national security threat, except this one. Has something happened? Has global climate change been solved? Why is that not in this report? And who made the decision that it should not be in the report when it's been in every one of the 11 prior reports?
I can't speak to the decisions made previously, but this annual threat assessment has been focused very directly on the threats that we deem most critical to the United States and our national security. Obviously, we're aware of occurrences within the environment and how they may impact operations, but we're focused on the direct threats to Americans' safety, well-being, and security. Gave direction to our team at ODNI to focus on the most extreme and critical national security threats that we face.
Your direction include no comments on climate change?
Senator, as I said, I focused on the most extreme and direct national
That's not a
security
response
threats
to my question.
that we face.
Did you instruct that there be no finding in terms of climate change in this report?
I don't recall giving that instruction.
We're going to save over $1 trillion.
President Trump has issued a flurry of executive orders designed to cut back on U.S. environmental protection, to try to cut back on the growth of renewable energy, and to try to drill, baby, drill.
The next item here is the withdrawal from the Paris Climate Treaty.
The Paris Climate Agreement did not impose on the U.S. or any country any particular obligations that it didn't take on itself. So each country came up with its voluntary pledges. Trump now, as he did before, is withdrawing from the negotiations. It means that the dominant player going forward will be China.
So several of his executive orders will have the effect of at least trying to incentivize more production of oil and gas. And the reason I say trying is it's important to note that the United States right now is the largest producer of oil of any nation in history.
It's hard to imagine what kind of national energy emergency we're in. The only justification that he put forth in the executive order was because of price. Now, the price of energy is now not historically high, and none of the actions that he's talking about taking will actually reduce the price of energy. Actually, some of them will increase the price of energy because wind, which is one of his particular targets, is an inexpensive way of producing energy, and if he's trying to stop development of wind, that's going to hurt rather than help the price of energy. The executive orders call for speeding up and in some cases bypassing the restrictions of the Endangered Species Act and allowing oil drilling for the first time in the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge, which is a very important wildlife habitat that's been protected for decades.
Another one of the executive orders revoked incentives for electric vehicles. This is going to have to be detrimental in the long term because it signals a shift in policy, and of course automakers have been building out their plans based on a policy environment. So it can't be good. Whether it's disastrous remains to be seen.
It's long been established that low-income and minority communities are more seriously affected by all kinds of pollution and other environmental hazards. And so for decades we've had a set of programs to try to redress this environmental injustice. Trump has wiped all of that out. And that means that these environmental injustices will continue and might become more severe.